Let's try again. See if this one works. Hi everyone. Let's see if this works. Don't know what happened there. Internet went to shit. Clearly ran out of money, which is never good. So hi. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can, well, you can see my face clearly. And yeah, let me know what's happening. It should work now. It seems to have better connection issue. I don't know. I had to change the code to a different latency for some reason. Maybe YouTube's just dying out today. Anywho, if you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell button, leave a like, all kinds of good stuff. All that kind of jazzy, wazzy, whatnot. We'll talk about this market in terms of, well, you can obviously see the title. It's not over yet. Does that mean the bull run? I don't know. Does that mean the bear market? I don't know. I've not looked at the market all weekend because I don't want to. It's been pretty savage. So we're going to look at it together because it's going to be fun. And we're going to have a laugh and a joke. And then I might just start putting up memes because it cheers me up. So the first thing I want to look at is the obvious, is the Bitcoin 2013 comparisons, which people have been talking about. So you can see here that people are talking about this section here. This is the monthly time frame on the log scale. Now, something that I've not really considered in the past is obviously this region here. Now, why is this so important? It corresponds with a lot of things, right? It's a big drop at the time. It's also a bullish period in time, and it's very much alike to the month sort of situation in terms of a real big blow off in April, then a shite May, shocking June, and then a pull back into July, and then off we go again, right? So even if we're looking at this on a log scale, it's horrific, right? So this is what a lot of people get a box of tissues. I need more than a box of tissues, mate. A fucking bungee cord. Maybe without the bungee. Anyways, moving on. So this is what people are talking about in terms of Bitcoin. Now, we've got to remember here, timing of the market is totally different, right? We didn't have many altcoins back in those days. We didn't have any of these shitcoins, didn't have any of these freaking blockchains, these cool things. So this is obviously different. Now, is it possible to have a correction like this and survive? Well, yeah, we've just seen it. Now, there's all kinds of things going on. People talk about the pie indicator last month, and now it's the whack-off distribution pattern. And obviously this as well, the double tap sort of situation here. Now, if we go and look at the monthly on here now, this, let me just remove some jargon, hello. Is it possible to go down to 25,000? Well, possible, yes. This is a log scale, this is a moving average 21, relatively good on the crypto markets. Go on to the normal chart, it's kind of a similar sort of situation, right? Is that the bottom? I don't know. The biggest thing that I'm worried about more than anything in the world is the altcoins, because the altcoins are absolutely on fire right now. Bitcoin doesn't worry me, it never does, it never has. Bitcoin's in a great run, and the fact that we're moaning here regarding a 32,000, 33,000 Bitcoin's fine, that's okay. But it's the net loss of the altcoins that have caught us all unawares. Now, mentioning it on the first little stream before it all broke was, well, we are witnessing history. This is the worst drop in terms of value appreciation in speed. The quickest it's ever done it. The valuation as well, in terms of how much money, it's obviously going to be big because it's much higher prices, but that's always going to be big. It's always going to reflect that. But when we start talking about Bitcoin in a matter of this candle alone, like not even, when we're talking about obviously that region there, we've had a 53% drop in Bitcoin already, and it's nowhere near, well, it's only been a couple of days, let's be honest with us. It's been pretty savage, realistically, when you think about it. So that's a call for concern. Now, in terms of actual technicals, This is what my chart looks like at the moment. If I go to the 2-day chart, it becomes a bit more apparent. So what's happened here? If you pull it out, we've topped out, we've died. That's fine. Double tap of this level's probably going to happen. It's probably going to happen tonight. You know, realistically, I think Asia is going to probably shit itself again. But it may buy the dip. But then again, tomorrow is Monday, US market, so there may be a sell-off again. So expect this to get tapped again. 30k is going to happen. Let's be honest. It's been tapped here a lot. It's quite a savage area, and it's a key level. In my opinion, I think that monthly chart is going to be the most important chart in the world because it's going to hit key levels. Now, when we start looking at these monthly charts, what I mean is this moving average on here. This is probably going to be the place where it's going to kind of land, in my opinion. But it could also go lower. It could also hit this previous all-time high of 20k, which is kind of scary. But in my opinion, I don't think the bull market is over. I think this is going to be just a shitty period in time manufactured by a ton of artificial bollocks. Now, when we talk about it, we've got obviously the China news. We've already talked about it. So you've got to think catalyst. And I've said this before on my own channel. There's always a catalyst for something going wrong in any market. It doesn't matter what market you're in, whether you're an investor in Boeing. If a plane crashes, it's going to affect the stock. That's just the reality. Tesla, if one crashes on the highway because it's got a fault and it causes damage or it hurts someone or hurts people, it's going to affect the stock. It is the exact same thing in cryptocurrency now. What do we get in cryptocurrency that pumps markets? Mainnet launches, rebrands, and people like Elon Musk and other people going, oh, I'm going to buy cryptocurrency. It's positive. Now, when you flip it the other side, and you've got mining issues, and you've got the economy, and you've got other elements of like people flapping, like buggery, and then you've got the environmental impact, then you've got the fact of selling and people's emotions and rubbish stuff and all kinds of crap, it gets a bit interesting. China is the one that, in my opinion, always holds the cards to every bit of FUD because they're the biggest mining elements. They're the ones with the biggest kind of voice in it for the work of Bitcoin. It's also the easiest to FUD because they just regurgitate it from freaking months back. And it's a problem because what happens is we have a lot of new people in this market who love to leverage trade when they shouldn't be. They love to go 50x like KSI and people like that because they think it's cool and it's possible. And you're seeing all these other YouTubers that are trading it and going long and short, long and short, long and short. People want to copy. People want to be a part of that gang, and they don't understand two main elements, which is risk management and money management. Very, very simple, very, very easy to do once you get your head around it. Now, what does this then bring us? It brings us a cascading effect. Flappy, fuck my life. Flap. People flap like buggery, right? As Danny's just said here. Flappy bird, right? The problem is high leverage, slippage, stop losses, and then the funniest thing in the world is exchanges crash because people flap. The biggest fundamental drawdown of anything in crypto, the infrastructure is crap. Absolutely rubbish. And it is. We know it. What happens when it gets busy? Crashes. What happens when it crashes? It either pumps like buggery or it absolutely dumps. Usually, when it's bad news, it dumps. So, what we have to draw upon? Well, some experts, we've already spoken about it. This is a possible scenario. This is, in my opinion, too much damage to sustain a bounce. That's just the way it is. So that's like the worst bit of news you probably want to hear now. Now, what I want to do on this chart is I want to put some more moving averages on it and see where we are in relation to him. Now, I'm not saying that Bitcoin's fully bearish, but I'm just saying it's not the greatest position right now. Even more so when you start looking at a few altcoins. Now let's look at Ethereum. Remember this coin? Everyone loved this coin. Everyone was about to sell all their Bitcoin into Ethereum not too long ago. And realistically, when you start thinking if you did that, you'd be in greater losses because this is dumped further. Every single altcoin pretty much on the market will dump more than Bitcoin. It always does. That's why Bitcoin's a king. When you start thinking stacking Satoshis and holding Satoshis just in case things go wrong, always have a percentage of your bag in Bitcoin just for stability. Simple as that. Now, when we start talking about it and looking at other things, everything for me is pointing to, overall, that catalyst and manipulation for people to get in. It just feels that kind of essence of, oh my God, this is great, I should have got in. And it feels like a bit of a ruggy pull. And it feels like the cascading effect of data that we've all got. We all know how many leverage traders are. We all know how many go long versus how many go short. We know how long, all this money is printed. And we know all this data. It's not hard for people to manipulate the market when they know there's loads of people over-leveraged, overstretched, over-risked, because it's the easiest way of doing it. And the worst thing about it is this is a 24/7 market. It's an available market, which is why we crashed so hard in March in 2020, was because when the stock market died, people could just grab liquidity from this market and get it and then use it for their option calls and their put calls just in case things went a bit wrong and they had to, if they got liquidated and all kinds of stuff like that. So what I want to do on this, in essence, I want to start talking about moving averages and stuff like that. So if I start putting a few moving averages on here, just a normal moving average for now, I want to look at where the 200 is, because that usually in cryptocurrency the 200 is pretty brutal, and already on the daily we've lost it, which is not the greatest situation in the world. Now, when we start thinking about bull cycles and bear cycles, this is usually the caveat to tell you if we're in a good market or a bad market as just basic principle. Now, I know a lot of people back in like a few months ago was talking about, when did this bull market start? People were saying 2019 down here. It's like, new. In my opinion, I think we started around, June, July sort of time, this region where we broke structure on a normal chart and it started to kind of fluctuate going up, especially on a total 2 chart and if you're looking at the overall market cap. Now, this is where we're starting to fight instinct, in my opinion anyways. Everything in my body is telling me I should be jumping out of this because I'm on fire. Realistically, because we're below certain moving averages, we're below certain regions of structure. It's looking horrible. And even more so when you start looking at likes of this. The thing that gives me comfort is the fact that some altcoins are still above it, but they're going to hit it very, very soon, in my opinion. This is going to go lower. You got the likes of Polkadot that's just zipped right through it today. There's loads. Absolutely loads. It's just one of those things. And it's crazy when you think about it, how these have dropped. But when you look at the BTC pairs, we seem to be, realistically not too bad. But fundamentals are clear. This is coming down at a hurtling rate. Bitcoin is going majorly bearish. But the one thing that we need to look at and pay respect to is obviously this. This is unbelievable. The fact that this has dropped so quickly in such a short period of time, it's just ridiculous. Like, I've said it before, it's history. We've never seen it this bad, but we are hurtling towards this moving average 200, which is quite an important area. And if you were looking at the 100, it's gone through it pretty much, but the 200 is important. But I think when we look at the indicators and we look at how things have kind of gone to the bearish side, it should, I say this and I want to say it one more time, should bounce at some point. Buyers will come in. Buyers will come in and shoot it. Now, this is where the decisions have to be for everyone involved. In the relief bounce, are you going to look for a place to basically sit on your hands and put some stable currency away, or are you going to ride it out and hope buying the dip and then getting some profits could happen? Because we will get a bounce at some point. It's just a matter of when. And when we start looking at gold, when we start looking at all these kind of situations, it's always important to try and figure it out. So this is currently very, very important. So this is everything. The whole market cap. So someone just mentioned there, literally 1 trillion has just vanished in a matter of a week. Well, if we start looking at the facts here, from this top here on the 12th of May to now, we have lost 1.38 trillion. Ooh, God. It's ridiculous. It is. I mean, I'm looking at Luna in the corner of my eye thinking that's a screaming buy because it's like $4.50. It's $4. It's down so much. If you look at Luna, Luna has great fundamentals, a solid project. It's just gone from $22 to $4. It's ridiculous when you think about it. Some very, very strong fundamental projects are on their knees right now, and no one's got a real reasoning for it. Realistically, when we can talk about all these kind of situations, it's a breakdown in the market structure, yeah. But when we start talking about the fact of Bitcoin versus everything else, there's some savage droppage. Now, reserve right is another one, 2.5 cents. Unbelievable. Chainlink, $17. Now, this is where it gets interesting when we start talking about future bull markets, and it gets very interesting is this the time to jump in? Now, for me, if these opportunities were presented and it wasn't so brutal, i.e. it was a gradual just drop down, I'd be probably more likely to buy it. But because it's been dropping so aggressively and there's been no relief, it's a different mindset. It's a bit scary thinking, well, where am I going to put money? Because it could halve again tomorrow. It's crazy. So when we start looking at these key levels, if you're going to dollar cost average in, don't go balls deep today or tomorrow or whatever. Do little bits just in case it drops lower, because we haven't had a relief bounce yet. We haven't had a bottom, and we also don't know what's going to happen. So what I'm going to look at now on these charts is quite simple. If we've found a bottom, and let's just say, like, realistically, if we're looking at like the 3-day chart or something, we're going to go from the tip to the bottom. There will be an uprise at some point. There will be. There has to be. There's going to be. Is my chart going to work? Yes. So if we're looking overall, let's just remove some of the noise. Let's have a little look at this. So let's just say Bitcoin here. Let's just say that is the bottom, right? Let's just say this is the impulse. This is the bottom. Let's just say it may not be. It may drop lower. We may get a relief bounce back up to this zone at 48k. It sounds ridiculous, but it may well happen at the end of the day. As you think about it, we're going to bounce somewhere, but where will we bounce? Well, the logical target, if this is the bottom, we're probably going to be hunting for that. If we fail to get that, we're probably going to go for this. Retest that 42, 41k. It's ridiculous, realistically, ridiculous. And this is what has to happen next with Bitcoin. What could happen with the likes of the Total 2 chart? This is obviously going to be totally different. When you look at the realism of this and stuff like that, it's kind of like savage. But if we have got a bottom at some point overall on this, we're going to start seeing a bounce at some... It's got to go up. It's got to do some figures. It's got to have some relief. People are going to step in and buy the dip. It's not just going to go to the floor. It shouldn't do. If it does, then that's brutal. But realistically, where we are right now, we're going to be looking for a bounce. And if that does add a lot of money to the market, and yes, it does sound scary. And when you think about this in this way, you know, we could be looking at 300, 400 billion added to the market from dip buyers stepping into the market, which could help us a lot. If that allows you then to reduce your assets, reduce your risk at the top of that curve, happy days, because it could well be much the case. But when you start thinking about the higher time frames, the further out you go, the more ridiculous it looks. It just doesn't look right, and this is going to be in history forever. Unless this absolutely zips back up over the next week or two, I think it'd be crazy, but we'll see how it goes. And why is the people in this comment just absolute stupid? Goodbye. Hi. So yeah, I thought I'd just remove some people. It's more fun. Anyways, what should we talk about? If you have any questions, let me know. There's obviously loads of things we can go through. For me, overall, I'm not panicking just yet. I'm expecting a bounce. The bounce will be pretty... I think the bounce will be pretty good due to the fact of the drop. I think a lot of people will be licking their lips, but there'll be a lot of people wounded for the simple fact they're new in the market. But I'm looking at a lot of these cryptos and I'm thinking, wow, these are ridiculous. In terms of, like, I could pick off like 10 to 15 projects here and go, realistically, they're solid buys. And if you're thinking in the bull market, and like if you're thinking, right, five weeks ago you wanted to buy into certain things, you wanted to buy into the likes of Luna, you wanted to buy into the likes of Polkadot, you wanted to buy into all kinds of good stuff, and you're not buying them, I just don't get it. So what I'd say, what I would suggest, if you are looking to buy and you're thinking these look good, put a little bit in, but don't put all your capital in, just in case it goes lower, because we haven't had a bounce yet, and that's the problem. If it starts bouncing, people will probably jump in, and I think there will be a bounce. There will be a bounce at some point, but the fundamentals are clear. Do your research, figure out what's actually good and got a good solid team, good solid use case, and not shitty meme coins, and back them. At the end of the day, if you were looking at buying the likes of Matic, for example, Matic is now 85 cents. It's ridiculous when you think about it. This was one of the top growing assets, and everyone was like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. In the premium chat, I was telling people, you should start taking profit, guys. If you're up to like 100x, take profit. Please take profit. Well, if you didn't, well, you've probably sat sucking your thumb right now. But when you think about this, like last week, On Tuesday, it was $2.45. It's now 88 cents, 86 cents. Sorry, it's crazy. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things. We've had markets like this before. We've had situations like this where it does drop quite a lot, and I've already showed you in terms of the past, in terms of 2013, it was worse than this. But it's absolutely crazy. Why is Cardano? Why is Cardano isn't? That doesn't make sense, mate. Why isn't it going down like Cardano? I don't know. Still looks pretty shit to me. Still looks pretty horrendous. The thing is, right, we have one thing in common. Everyone has one thing in common here. It's not just one asset that's died here. Everything has gone to dog shit, which makes you feel it's a bit fishy, it's a bit weird, it's a bit strange. But not everything is immune. You know, we've got to think of the Monday morning opening call on the markets. It's going to be opening very, very soon. That's going to be interesting. Yes, we can stake stablecoins. Yes, we can stake the likes of Zilliqa. We can stake Cardano. We can stake Polkadot. Stake all these solid assets that are pretty good. But the fundamentals are clear. If the value appreciation goes down, people may lose faith. And that's the biggest problem, which is always good. To be honest with you, I'm not worried too much about the Bitcoin dominance chart. Yes, it's going up. Yes, it's going against our mantra a little bit here, but it's always going to happen. This is the thing. We could be looking. This is where the biggest mistake could happen. We could jump into Bitcoin, right? And yes, this could definitely happen. And Bitcoin pumps, right? Bitcoin bounces, it pumps, it does its own thing. Bear with me. Let me just hide people who are irritating me. The reason why I'm kind of concerned about jumping into Bitcoin, yes, it protects my position, it protects my Satoshis. But at the end of the day, if the buyers step in, the funniest thing will happen is so will the altcoins, because the altcoins have dumped so much. It's probably a bit too premature, essentially, for jumping into Bitcoin, even though all my tendencies and my tingly feelings, my bum is telling me to jump into Bitcoin. But the ratio between Bitcoin and altcoins, the altcoins are getting smashed more. So the suggestion would be that the Satoshi values may well recover a little bit when this will happen at some point, the total 2 chart will start going up because money and buyers have gone back in the market. So that would probably mean the dominance chart may stabilize a little bit and slow down a little bit and may go down. But you may well find that your Satoshi levels may go up a little bit, which would be nice. If that does happen, you can then probably offload at a better period. If you're a bit rumbled now, there's no point. There's no point it's gone. The selling position's gone. You've got to wait for the bounce. You've got to wait and see what happens over the next week or two to see if then... Because you may well find that this bounces up like 20-30%. If that happens like 20-30%, for example, from this low, let's just say... Oh, I wouldn't go that far. Let's just say if we had like, I don't know, 200 billion onto the market cap, right? And we rescue the candle a little bit. It's going to make a big difference in terms of when you start to offload into stables, or if you want to decide, okay, actually, I can then offload into Bitcoin, because you'll probably recover a few of the Satoshis. When you start looking at a lot of the BTC pairs, by the way, they've had big runs. And when you start looking at the likes of charting patterns and stuff like that, you know, at the end of the day, the fundamentals are clear. This is still in an uptrend, technically. You know, if you look at RSR, this is probably the worst one to look at. But at the end of the day, it's still holding this moving average 200. It still, technically, you could probably argue, has some support there. Let's look at some other ones. Let's look at Litecoin. Again, you've got this formation here of, you know, it's technically in a bull trend. And yes, it looks horrendous. Yes, it looks horrific. But, you know, there will be some sort of support in and around this region. Same with Chainlink. Chainlink one's probably the most obvious. You've got this low, lower high, higher low, right? It looks dog shit, I know. But at the end of the day, it's still holding the line. Just. But that's the thing. So, for me, I think they'll bounce back up a little bit. I don't know if it's going to form a new high. I'm not ruling that out. I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying it's not. We have to wait and see. But at the end of the day, we may well find that a lot of these will bounce. And what we may actually see, and I mentioned it before, let's just say, for example, on this chain link, let's say that is the bottom, we may well find that it'll try and do a relief bounce up to this point here, which would be quite nice at this given moment. Then you could probably think, well, you know what? If it's looking pretty shady and the market's looking like dog turd, I could probably de-risk. I could probably de-risk a little bit at that point. If that is a rejection and it comes down and forms a lower low, then you'll probably kick yourself. But at the end of the day, fundamentals are clear. You need to do one thing and one thing only. Wait. You need to wait. It's hard. It's hard to figure it out. It's hard to see the situation. But if you back an asset and you like it, the options are simple. You hold it or you buy more. It's simple as that. You've got to think long term. For me, I'm quite comfortable in the market. I'm well off. I'm good. But yeah, it hurts. Obviously, it's going to hurt. It's one of those things. You've just lost 60% of your net worth. It's like freaking hell. But in my opinion, what's going to happen is a lot of these weak hands are going to sell like today, tomorrow, whatever, and it's going to take off without you, and it's going to bounce, and you'll be chasing it. And what you'll do is you'll ape into the top of the bounce, and then the bounce will turn around and it'll probably wreck you again. So you got to remember that old video what's on YouTube of like, is it Bogdanov or whatever it's called? That funny video. That is what the situation is all about, and it feels like the whole market is pinned on that sort of manipulation sort of element with the catalyst of Elon Musk, with the catalyst of the Chinese FUD, all the other bollocks in terms of coming out. It's like, oh, hit us while we're down, while we've got our bloody face on the floor. It's ridiculous, really. But when I look at the market and I think it can go two ways. We're going to sit in a lull for a couple of months and it's going to be boring as hell and people are going to get really annoyed. Or you can buy up the dips. If you like strong fundamental coins and you're thinking, well, this is the opportunity to buy some solid altcoins, this is probably the time to start, growing a position. Like what I was saying, like Kusama, people were aping into this at $500 not too long ago. I was buying this at like $180 to $250. Took profit along the way. I had to sell it. Took a little bit off the table. I was happy to do though. Look at Luna. Luna's the one that absolutely just fell off a cliff. I don't understand why. I physically don't understand why. Because this was like in the top 15 not too long ago. It was ridiculous. It feels very odd, which is always good. But at the end of the day, everyone's responsibility in terms of what you want to do in the dip. Everyone's different. It's a bad week when the stable coins that are only green ones, which is always good fun to look at. But there's some solid coins here that have it's 50% off. But that being said, it could be another 50% off next week. You just don't know what's going to happen. This is a very fragile market at the minute. People are down. People are absolutely in bits right now because, as I said before, there are a lot of weak hands of new people in the market, don't get me wrong, who have never experienced this volatility. They've got in on TikTok, and I've seen messages on TikTok, I've seen comments, I've seen it on my own Twitter feed, guys. People ask, why has the money dropped? Well, how do I get my money back? Well, you're in a live market. They're playing the game. You're in the big league now. You can't expect your money back. And people are like aping into Dogecoin and wondering where the money's gone. Now, Dogecoin, I shorted this literally near the top. And I wish I kept it open because it would have been a hell of a trade. Gutted that I didn't keep it open, to be honest with you. The reason why I shut it was because Elon Musk was like doing tweets and polls about, should we accept Dogecoin as a Tesla payment? I was like, here we go. Thought, I'm going to get a better order in here. Obviously, it's one of those things. It just happened. It didn't really do it. Care to share your strongest altcoins in my portfolio? None of them are strong, mate. I am a holder of Zilliqa. Let me have a little look at my official list. My official bags. Oh, God. Here we go. So, we have got some awful clangers here. We've got RSR, we've got Zilliqa, Pluton, we've got Swissborg, Polkadot. So they're my bags. My official bags. So essentially, they're all a bit different. We've got DeFi in there. You got obviously multi-chain with Polkadot. You got an entry into the market with Swissborg. You got Pluton, which are debit cards. And you got Zilliqa as an enterprise blockchain. Yeah, they're not looking good at the moment. However, I bought Zilliqa very early. I bought RSR very early. I bought Pluton very early. Well, I'll say that. I'm probably going to buy even more Pluton because it looks very attractive right now. I bought Unfederal Reserve about 20 cents, so I'm a little bit down on that now. Bought Polkadot $4, $5. Bought Swissborg, about 90 to 80 to 90 cents in between the first dip that I had, and I've been in Bitcoin for donkeys, so that's fine. So I'm currently fine, but some people are not. I understand that. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty diverse, I like to think. I feel that a lot of the coins that I hold have certain kind of characteristics that will make it do well in any market. For functionality, for like kind of use case, for kind of information overload and stuff like that of other people can use them is pretty cool. But we'll see how it goes. But for me, less is more. And Federal Reserve's looking very, very attractive right now for further dips buying. There's all kinds of stuff out there. I mean, for me, everyone's different. But as Philip just mentioned there, if you're looking at chart patterns, everything looks the fucking same. If you look at this right hand side here, it's the same. Like, we're all going through the same pain. We're all going through the same sort of hurt. It is not a nice feel. And if this is your first ever dip, welcome to cryptocurrency, because it's absolutely crazy. It is. You've got to have some big bollocks. And I know there's females in here, but you've got a set of bollocks now if you're in crypto, because they're going to be sprouting out somewhere, because it is a crazy market. And at the end of the day, this is the problem. It grows so fast. In a bull market, it attracts people. It always attracts people. This is why the dips are always so aggressive. This is why the volatility is so high. This is why it's a 24/7 unregulated market. It's absolutely crazy. But the highs, in my opinion, anyways, always outweigh the lows. This is why you got to remember to buy the lows. This is why you got to remember to take profit. This is why you got to remember to not over-risk yourself. Never do stupid high-risk leverage trading. And people used to laugh at me when I used to go, oh, 3 to 5x was like the max. But for me, fundamental-wise, if you get ruined on one of these days, you've gone. I hold in Federal Reserve. I have no qualms holding it. To be honest with you, I'm going to probably buy. I bought more yesterday. Bought more at like 21 cents yesterday. Can buy even more now. So yeah, it feels weird. But for me, we're still at a $1.3 trillion market. I'm still up a lot since the start of 2020, so that's fine. Am I concerned for liquidity? No. Liquidity on exchanges is actually pretty good in cryptocurrency. It's probably one of the best markets, realistically. But for me, I know someone mentioned, am I selling on the bounce? Possibly I might be moving some of my stuff around in a bounce, yes. If we bounce, and as I said before, let's just say if it does happen and we do form a nice little bounce rally, and it could happen. Whether this happens with Bitcoin and then altcoins get slaughtered, I don't know. I may well take stables. So we may be looking at this. Say, for example, this is the impulse going down, and this, let's just say it's not. I don't know yet. We need to wait and see. If this is the bottom for now, and we get a relief bounce from 30k, and we do get, let's just say we go to 48k, and let's just say the dominance chart holds up and it keeps, like, it stays pretty steady, that'll be fine, because at the end of the day, I can sell into Bitcoin. I can also sell into the likes of stable currencies and just chill out for a bit, wait for the dust to settle. Because if we have got a situation like what Raoul Paul says, we may get this double sort of situation with the market cap of the whole market going a little bit sour for a bit in a bull market. We may well get an absolute horrible lull period where it does go down a little bit more than we'd like. But it's all very new. It's only been a few days. It's crazy. But for me, if we do get a big solid bounce, I may well protect myself a little bit more so I can buy further dips in the future, or just stack it and earn a decent yield on the DeFi, because there's always going to be some sort of situation where everyone wants to borrow, everyone wants to supply, because it's a good place to do it. At the end of the day, you know, when you think about it, the market's matured since the last bear market, but the problem is we've still not got the same maturity of people doing this, the leverage trade, and that's a problem. We all know it. Binance, every time there's a brand new coin, oh, let's just put it on the 125x situation and people can short it. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous when you think about it. So yeah, all is good. It's just one of those things. But for me, if we do get a solid bounce, we start looking pretty healthy on the bounce, I most likely will be moving some stuff into stable currency just to protect myself. If that means me earning a little bit of yield on the side and not got active in the market, that's fine. Doesn't bother me at the end of the day. I can sit on it. I can wait for further dips. If new stuff comes on the market or opportunities like this happen, I can soon buy into it, and that'd be pretty good. But that's all good. I don't think that. I think in terms of bull run and bull market, I don't think the bull cycle's over. I just think that this is kind of a little bit fishy and also a little bit strange in terms of how it came about very, very quickly off the back of news. That's where it kind of makes me wonder, is it over? Is it just an opportunity to get people in? Is it kind of a situation where people don't want it to succeed, but they're also kind of thinking, well, actually, I might just, if it gets low enough, I might buy it. We may well see lower numbers, but we also got to think the other side of the fence. We have more and more money printing, we have quantitative easing, we have all kinds of inflation ratios going through the fucking roof. That could mean Bitcoin could be even more attractive to certain people in that market when it's lower. If that's the case, even better. Even better. And then you may well find some big amount of gravity of volume coming through the market. What about alt season? Well, I think alt season's over with. We've had alt season since January. People have failed to notice it. I've been talking about it. I've been saying about it since this period here in this breakdown. We've been in alt season. It's been great. And I think we will tap this level at some point. If Bitcoin bounces, you're going to expect this to carry on going up for a bit. And then it may well turn around a little bit. I think what's going to happen is a situation like this. If we do get a relief bounce, this will go towards this level about 50%. If the market is happy and people are expectantly jumping in the market and wanting to get involved, the altcoins look attractive, then we may well find that this goes down a little bit more again, but it may well be a trend reset. This may well continue going up. But in terms of bull cycle, we're still technically in a bull cycle because of the way the market is looking on the moving averages, but it's getting to a point where it's very, very close. And this is why I'm saying I'm going against a lot of my feelings in terms of the market. There's no point selling now because we're absolutely at the bottom. We're at a potential bottom here where it could bounce back up, and that's why I'm saying the relief bounce. If that relief bounce is really weak and really shit, it probably is going to change to a bearish cycle for a few months. We'll see how long it goes for, but I don't really want to admit that. It's still very early. We've only had like 4 days of absolutely savagery fuckery, basically. It's too early to say. We can't just presume that off that price action. For me, when we're looking at the likes of Bitcoin, we're looking at this moving average 200. It's ridiculous when you think about it, especially if you look at like the log scale and stuff. Like, that's kind of where we are right now. It's unbelievable when you think about it. When you think about how these kind of work and where they are in terms of the 2 day, 2 days, the interesting one. I think 2 day, 25k, which falls around some key levels, could be very, very interesting. But we'll see. It's very, as I say, it's very, very early. We can't just decide it off a few days price action. I've seen situations where we've dumped quite hard and we've bounced back up. Like March 2020 was quite a good one. And I've already shown you what happened in the world of, if you look back at the old log scale here. In terms of this, we've had this situation here in the past where over a period of time it fell quite a way. Even if we look at like should we look at the 5 day chart on this? There we go. So this was 20. If you're wondering what this was, by the way, I actually went further than that. Jesus Christ. So if we're looking at this was in the last bull run, okay? In 2013, sorry. So we were having a massive bull period and it had a massive rug pull. Now, as I said at the start of this video, if you missed it, this was a totally different dynamic because there was not many altcoins out there. But when we start thinking about this, over a period of like a 5 day period, it had a monster crash. And yeah, that's crazy when you think about it. So people are expecting this sort of situation again. We'll pull all the way back and then we may well shoot back up again. But it's very, very hard. It's very, very hard to talk about that in terms of knowing because the market's totally different. But people are comparing to that, which is fair enough. It's always good to cover and good to look at. But for me, the EMA 21 on like the monthly time frame and the weekly time frame are like the ones that I'm kind of looking at more than anything because I'm kind of like looking at Bitcoin thinking 46k is a bit mental. But when you look at the monthly, it's at the key level here. It's like 24k on the extension level on the nose. So that I think that's a potential destination, which is like the worst situation in the world for most people. But yeah, there's a lot of people telling people to long the dip on leverage right now, which I just do not get. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But yeah, I think this is going to be a certain tapping point for me. There's a lot of people on this stream, which is great to see for a very, very small channel. Hi everyone. Make sure you've liked the video and subscribed, because this is a different channel. This isn't on the Mobster channel, if you're wondering. I'm still holding Zilliqa. I think Zilliqa's got a lot more fundamental news to come anyways. With the old Ethereum bridge and whatnot, and a lot of good projects going into the ecosystem. Yeah, you can write off some taxes in this situation. Certainly if you're in the UK, you can offset some losses. So yeah, fill your boots, I suppose. Did Justin's son get wrecked? Probably. No face cam. That's me. It's me in the right hand corner. That's how I look right now. Red and in tears. But yeah, all is good though. Like for me, this is like probably for everyone in this room, one of the biggest learning curves. Take a bit of profit on the way up. It's been ridiculous. And yeah, every good thing comes to an end. It's like life, you know. Everything happens. Yeah, you know. No matter where it is in life, it gets a bit ropey. But when we start thinking of where we were, 1.5 trillion on total tier. This is excluding Bitcoin, by the way. So the altcoin market, where we went to, that's unbelievable when you think about it. Absolutely unbelievable. But there's nothing much I can add. Realistically, there's nothing much I can add in terms of like wait for the bounce. Like if you are selling here, and I said it before, you are literally potentially selling like this could be the bottom. This could be the bottom in terms of this situation here. There's no point selling it right now because you just don't know. As I say, it could be the hugest bounce in history. This could be an absolute giga bounce, maybe, but it might not be. One thing I've not looked at actually. I'll tell you what, I've got an idea. I've not looked at this yet. Where's the bottom? Where's the fucking bottom of this? Where do you reckon? Ooh. Tell you what we'll do. Hello. That looks like a bottom. Go from here. Rumph. What I want to do, I want to see where this is going to land. This might give you a bit more clarity. Oh, fucking A, look at that, eh? The Fibonacci doesn't work. It's got no meaning. It means fuck off. Fuck off. So that's giving me a little bit of hopium, knowing that is hit that. I know this is daft saying this, but it's sentiment based because it is only an index chart. However, we've had two tappy wappies of this one. Cool, and it's also been a consolidation range in the past from the previous level. So this, I don't want to say it, but it could be the bottom. Could be the bottom. Let's just see if it holds. If this does hold, by the way, and this is the 618 level, and this hold, where's me freaking rect? There it is. Cool. If that does hold, and as I said before, if you'd missed this bit before, if we're going to go from this high to this low, and that is the bottom, expect us to retest some levels. You know, we may well try and put some more money in the market. If that does happen and we get 314 billion in the market, even better, right? If it goes even higher and we get 500 billion coming to the market for buying the dip, I'd highly suggest you try and move some money around if you can. If you're over leveraged or if you're over kind of risked in certain regions, just, you know, try and move money around just in case to protect yourself, because it could form, you know, it could form another low. It could, you know, a lower high, sorry, and a lower low could appear, and that could be the worst situation. So keep an eye on that. So that is kind of important. So what I'm going to do here, I'm hoping this is the bottom. If this is the bottom, I'll be quite happy, because that is enough beat down, in my opinion. Anyways, 618 level, label that up because I can use that for future reference. Happy days. So I'm going to end it very, very soon, just to let you know. Have I lost subscribers into dip? I haven't really. I've gained a few. I reckon the likes of BitBoy and the bigger YouTubers have, because they're being suffocated a lot of lower YouTuber growth. Like, we've got a lot of people on this live right now. We're a very small channel. We're relatively new. It's just me and Andy doing this at the moment. Mainly Andy. I just do the lives. But my main channel, in terms of that, like the browse page gets absolutely suffocated by the bigger YouTubers because they're talking about more, you know, paid shills really. Let's make money fast, and obviously the arse is falling out. So the last few days I've actually noticed a lot of views come back to my channel, even though I've not done many videos. So it's kind of interesting. VeChain's a good asset. The whales test on weekends, it feels like it. I think That's the thing. Like, it goes against everything. This is going to be in history. This is history. Like, this is scary. So it'll always be on the chart. Best tip on moving money around. I would have a bit in stable currency, have a bit in Bitcoin, and have some strong fundamentals that basically, like, if you can stake it. If you can stake a good asset, hold on to it. So for me, Polkadot, for example, Zilliqa is a good example, Cardano is a good example. There's quite a few out there now. Altcoins in the bear market, what to do? Keep buying them. Buy them when they get low, and when no one wants them anymore, just keep buying them. Just be greedy. I set a competition with myself. This sounds really weird, and I'm going to say it anyways. If they're an Ethereum-based coin, or if they're like Zilliqa, for example, you can check how many holders they've got. In a bear market, you can become a whale. It's great. Only for a short period of time, like, because people ape into it with more money than you, but your value appreciation goes up. So I'm doing it with Pluton token. Pluton token for me, like, it's so low in market cap. I'm in like the top 400 or whatever. No, not even that. I'm in like the top, I think it's top 100 holders. I probably even lower now. People selling. So I just kept buying. So what I tend to do is I try to see how big my wallet can go, and then I'm happy with that. And then when the bulls start arriving, then you start dripping down the table because people keep buying, and you're like sitting there with value appreciation. That's the game I play. It's a bit weird, I know. But yeah, cool. Any other questions before I run and cry? Jump off a bridge. I'm joking. But yeah, it's such a mindset game what we're playing here, and I mean this. Like, as I said before, it's probably the first time people have experienced this big, massive dip, and some things have crashed further than others. And at the end of the day, the strong projects will survive. Like, the rubbish ones, we all know them, the meme coins, they won't last forever. Dogecoin will probably survive and stuff like that, but it'll always keep coming back and dying off. High supply coins are the ones that are always affected the most because you need the biggest amount of volume to kind of push them. If that volume just vanishes, poof, you notice it. Like a VeChain, for example, took a massive hit recently. Obviously, RSR's took a big hit. Dogecoin's taken a big hit. Luna's another one's got quite a decent chunk of suppliers. I think Luna. I may be talking out my ass there. Bear with me. Let me just make sure I'm talking sense. Where the fuck? Oh, it's there. No, Luna hasn't got a big supply. Don't know what I'm talking about there. But Luna's lost a lot of volume, so the volume's like totally just went whoop. But then again, a lot of things have, to be honest with you. It's been crazy. It does feel very strange. But we need to wait for it to stabilize. There's genuinely no point selling right now because you're literally selling on the absolute floor. If this does bounce, and I'm hoping it does, then you can probably look at an option there. But at the end of the day, if you were looking to buy in this market over the last 2 weeks and you're not looking now, it's a bit strange. You should be in that mindset buying it. Is Chainlink good to buy? Chainlink, in terms of fundamentals, is actually pretty sound. It has some issues with tokenomics. I'm not the greatest lover of the tokenomics. But at the end of the day, in terms of what it is, its purpose, its use case, its partnerships, that's really good. Got a decent team around it as well. So I'd certainly want to look at, especially at $18. It looks pretty damn decent. It feels like the Chinese exit scam. You know something, the Chinese with the mining situation is not a bad thing to like get rid of, because there's a lot of people that are worried about how much mining consumption is in China, but you've also got to think like the power consumption. There's a lot of like coal power and dirty gases essentially in China. It's not all like pink and fluffy over there. So if that happens and we move away from that, that's good. That's a good situation to be in, especially for the environment, certainly for like the likes of Bitcoin and mining. So if we reduce a percentage of the miners in China, that would be quite good. If they obviously get moved, so that'd be fine. But yeah, it just feels like someone wants in the game, doesn't it? It just feels like someone wants to ruffle a few feathers, bring it down a little bit. I still think like a lot of people have been battering me on Twitter about Federal Reserve, and I still think it's an absolute winner. I think in terms of fundamentals and developments and stuff, it's still got a long way to go. It's DeFi as well, so lending, like, it's kind of an important situation. At the end of the day, it's just one of those things, you know. This market, it hasn't just affected one coin, it's affected every coin. You know, some things are great, some things are crap, some things are horrendous, but they've all taken the same hit. So if you think long term, if you're looking at the likes of Zilliqa, Polkadot, if you're looking at the likes of Federal Reserve for like DeFi protocols, even if you're looking at freaking Ethereum at the moment, it's pretty savage, realistically, when you think about it. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah, Zilliqa's had a blockchain issue, haven't they? They've had a little bug. They did a mainnet upload version 8 of something, and then they had an issue with one of the staking contracts, I think. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. That's not going to affect it. You know, it still works. Ethereum sell wall. Ooh. It makes you wonder why these sell walls have appeared as well. That's another thing you got to talk about. You got to think, well, all these top assets have got big, massive sell walls. And the one thing I mentioned the other day on my personal Twitter, if you've not checked it out yet, look at CZ's tweets. He always says certain things, like a few hours before the big drop, he was saying hodl, and he said, hold on. It's like he knows that something's going to happen, which makes you wonder. And you got to look at the likes of what Vitalik said in an interview. He knew it was coming as well, so that's always interesting too. So look at what the big guy's saying. Look at where the money is going. Look at all that kind of situation. And for me, CZ's tweets, they're always good. They're always good to look at, because he's talking about diamond hands the other day, like, oh, I'm still back. I'm not. He even said he's not sold anything. So you got to look into his tweets. It feels like he's trying to give an upper hand a little bit, but it depends on how much you want to read into those tweets. You don't want to go too far up the wall. It could get a bit dirty. Anyways, I want to leave you because it's a Sunday night. I need to continue with my tears. I do appreciate everyone coming out. I'll probably do another live next Sunday. I'm hoping it's a better situation. I hope this has kind of put some meat on the bones in terms of what I think and what my overall tactics are, and kind of why you should be taking profits and why you should be looking at certain situations. Always take profits. Always, if you're making money, look at removing some capital, which is what I've done essentially over the course of it and what I teach people to do. It's just one of those things. I don't think anyone, realistically, for me, have escaped this dump. Like, everyone's been affected. It's not just me. It's not just everyone in this room. It's not just, you know, a lot of people have have lost a lot of net worth off the back of certain situations, which is kind of in a live market we can't control. And a lot of people are going, oh, well, all these influencers, they can't predict shit. Well, no, we can't. It's a market. No one would have said that, but that's, at the end of the day, it's the scariest thing in the world. But it's all down to you. You know, if you can do the research, if you've bought at a good solid price and you're happy to buy at certain prices and you've got that money and the capital to do it and you believe in the asset, it's fine, you know, at the end of the day. But I'm looking at certain assets right now and I think, oh, they look quite tasty. But if we are going to get a bounce or a giga bounce or whatever, we need something. We need a bounce. If it doesn't bounce, I don't know what to do. There's not much you can do, realistically. But the party line of this whole stream is, I wouldn't sell just yet. You need to wait, because there's been no relief at all, realistically, when you think about it. When you think about, we've had one little relief here, which is tiny, realistically, when you think about the whole space. You know, there's not been enough relief at all, in my opinion. And this was majority of the meme coins coming out of the market. Even if you look at this situation here, so if you go from this top to this bottom, you know, realistically, in like a matter of like not even a day, it kind of just meh. So yeah, we could go even lower. If this doesn't hold, we could go down to here, which is pretty disgusting. Back to January, well, basically January levels. Ew, that could be horrible to look at. That'd be great fun. Anyways,